Good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and thanks so much for joining us here for Built in Texas. Now, I have to pause. I don't have children yet, but I do have a dog, and I am relating to my friends and colleagues that are mothers because Cash, which most of you already have met him, is my colleague slash coworker, and he is this close to appearing on camera. I don't know what it is this morning. He has tried to hop up here several times in our professional set. How dare he? But it's that kind of morning already. But I do have a large pot of coffee. Oh, yeah, here he comes. You guys will hear him today. He's on it today. But thank you so much for joining us for Built in Texas. We're here every Monday at 11 a.m. And our goal is just to increase connectivity for things that are happening here in the state of Texas, but also to introduce you to some incredible women that are just doing amazing stuff, whether that's new ideas, new projects, new initiatives, just things that we all need to know about. I'm excited about the two guests today because they don't know each other. And that's kind of what's cool about Built in Texas, is that we're constantly passionate about bringing women together. We are a massive state. I say this every week. I think we have close to 3,000 cities, close to 15 million women. That's just an obscene amount of people. And there's just no way we can all connect with one another. But in my experiences as an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur now for the last 12 years, based here in Dallas, I've met so many incredible women around the state and felt like we needed some sort of mechanism or entity to bring us all together. And so for the last 2 years, I've been working on a project called Her Texas, and we are finally launching on May 3rd. I say that with excitement because I don't know how many of you were affected with COVID last year. I called her Rona. Rona set me back. I had so many plans last year, but I'm actually thankful with all the challenges that happened last year. We had so many amazing things that came from that. And one of those things was I got to really slow down and think about what do Texas women need, and what would help us move forward in our personal and professional goals. So I will share more about Her Texas as we get a little bit closer to the launch. This show really is just a little bite-sized introduction to some incredible women doing awesome stuff here in the state. And I want to tell you a little bit more about Her Texas too, before we bring on our special guest. This is an event we did called Coffee and Mimosas 2 years ago. I started doing these coffee chats and only had 4 or 5 women come. And then I added mimosas in at 11:30 on a Friday, and then we started packing the house. I realized it wasn't just me that needed a mimosa during the day. A lot of us were needing some connectivity and just some sisterhood too. With Texas being so big, I always say that we've got so many great organizations here, and so the goal of Her Texas is not to replace those, but we do need a revolution, I think, of sisterhood, just because of the size of how many women we have here and our connectivity issues too. So in a really basic premise for what Her Texas is, it's really a starting place. If you're a woman that is from Texas, whether you've been here for an hour or you've been here for 20 years, we consider you to be a Texas woman. So we want you to have a starting point so that you can kind of map out your journey, your professional or personal journey. We are really kind of the state's first ecosystem for women that live, work, start, and do business here in the state of Texas. As I said earlier, we're not here to compete with any organizations. In fact, we want to bring some connectivity among all the different things that are happening here in the state. We also want to make sure that female founders here are really successful. I started several businesses here in the state of Texas. Some of them have been amazing, and some of them have been some hot messes. I'm reminded by them on Facebook. Facebook sends those memories back, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't really want anybody to know about that one. But I believe that no matter what your zip code is, whether you're in a town of 200 or a town of 2 million, that you should have access to the same amount of resources. And I believe that as a female founder, you need more awareness. We need more support. And so that's one of our hopes for Her Texas, is that we'll be here to champion women that start businesses. We have a large amount of women starting businesses here, but we have a lot of them that end and stop after a couple of years because, y'all, it's hard. It's challenging. It's amazing, but it's challenging. And if you add in the fact that we're still spread apart, so that it can be really hard if you don't know anyone or if this is your first company. And so we hope to kind of be an engine for female founders. And we say that from a business perspective, but from a holistic perspective as well, that when you start a business, we need 360 resources and support too, which I'll talk about that as we get closer to our big launch. And then finally, of course, continued education and professional development. I know I don't know anything. I would, if you venture to talk to most of the successful women here in the state, they're still on a quest to learn and develop and grow. And so our hope is to also provide those resources and connect you to the people and the places that you need in order to grow. And that's whether you are a female founder or if you're just a woman trying to move up in the corporate ladder. So this is our big launch date. Now, normally, y'all, you usually hear me a Beyonce reference every week. I would be throwing a Beyonce style party for this launch. And I'm actually glad we're not, because I don't have Beyonce money at this point, although sometimes I forget. So we are going to be creative, as everyone has had to do, right? We've all had to pivot. So we do have some very fun, really cool stuff planned on May 3rd that I can't wait to share. So stay tuned. Would love your support. Would love for you to get plugged in. If you're a woman in Texas or you're thinking about doing business in Texas, we would love to connect with you. What's so funny about this show is it's mostly women in Texas that tune in for sure. But it's interesting. We've had from Laredo all the way down to San Marcos that will tune into this, which has been so fun. But we've also had a lot of women outside of the state of Texas too, because we've been in the news, not always for the best things, but I think that's some of our charge for Texas is to say, hey, we've got some incredible things happening here in the state. We've got some really badass, yes, I'm saying badass early. My coffee's kicking in. Women that are here doing the thing. But it's time for us to create our own tables. It's like, we know that there's a table here. A lot of us been trying to get a seat at that table. And we're like, you know what? Let's just create our own. If you're for the advancement of women, if you want to improve collaboration, you are welcome at our table. We would love to have you. Finally, stay connected with us. We're on all the socials. Now, I am not on TikTok, y'all. I did create a profile. I'm going to have to get some therapy accounts on the TikTok. I know I need to be on there. Her Texas should be on there. So maybe you guys can give me some support on that. But as right now, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn. We've got a page we start, and we've got a private Facebook group there as well. That if you are a woman in Texas, that is open for you to join in. We would love to have you there. In fact, we will be sharing events around the state in there, also current openings, any employers looking. And then today, every Monday, I'm going to start sending out a poll question. Today, if the poll question was, do you need to be single to be successful when you start a business? Now, I think this question is timely because both of the ladies joining us are married, I believe. Yes, they both are married. And one works with her spouse. And I'm dying to ask her about this because I've heard both. I've heard both sides of it. So that was a poll question. So if you're in our Facebook group today, please let us know. Do you need to be single in order to be super successful? I have lots of opinions on this as a single woman. So, but I would love to hear your thoughts first. So before we bring on our special guest, I want to actually invite on for a brief moment, Katherine Cadena. She is brand new to her Texas team. Hi, Katherine.
Hey, Jasmine. How are y'all doing?
Good. Loving the light.
Thank you.
Katherine is a recent grad, and I'm so excited to have her on. Katherine, though, this is the one bummer, Katherine, I can tell you, is that you're not on TikTok. I'm not even going to lie. I assumed because you were under 25, you were going to be the bomb with TikTok. I did make that stereotype. I know. And you actually have a healthy life. You're not even on social media. You're probably doing like reading and doing all kind of cool stuff in the community, aren't you?
Pretty much.
Tell us really quickly, where are you from and what school did you graduate from?
So I was raised here in Dallas my whole life. I was born in Mexico, in Guadalajara, actually. But I was raised here in Dallas. I went to Early College High School, which is in Brookhaven College. And then I graduated with my associates at Early College High School. And then I attended UNT Dallas, and I got my bachelor's there. And hopefully within the next year or so, I will be attending grad school. Yeah. Who knows, SMU or UT Austin?
You know, I'm biased with SMU, but it's in Texas. So I'm excited for you for your next journey. We're always talking about, the interesting thing with COVID is like we're all having to pivot too, and especially our students too. And so Katherine will be helping us out with the show, of course, but also doing a lot of outreach in the community. Katherine, how can we stay connected with you? Even though I know social media is not your jam, but I know you're on there.
Yes, I am on LinkedIn, Katherine Cadena, and then you'll also be seeing me on the group for Her Texas. So please join the Her Texas group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katherine. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, you all. So I feel like that's enough rambling on from me. As I said, a lot of you join in live each week, but if you're tuned in later in the week, thank you so much, because I know Mondays sometimes can be crazy. This is a video that we put up on YouTube, but it's also on all of our social channels. So if you're tuning in later in this week, if you have questions for any of our guests today, just leave them in the comments. We monitor those all week. If you want to get in touch with them, if you are just curious about the show, feel free to leave the comments anytime this week as we sit there and we monitor them. So without further ado, I'd love to bring on our special guests, Krista and Ginger. How's it going, ladies?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Let me actually bring you guys on here. Stop our screen. Do you have your coffee?
I'm actually drinking water right now because I already drank a lot of matcha.
Wait, you guys are healthy? Oh, so I'm the only one slamming this caffeine down? Great. Just kidding. Just kidding. Well, thank you both for joining us on Built in Texas. The really cool thing about this idea that when we thought about it was, we wanted to introduce the millions of women here in the state about women that are doing things here. But each week is an opportunity for us to also connect. And I always feel myself as like an informal matchmaker, matching you two up. And so I started thinking about what you had in common, and it's about community, but it's both in different ways. I'd love to start with Ginger. Ginger, tell us about, and you're in San Antonio, but tell us about Felice Modern. Like, what challenge or what are you guys currently working on for the community?
Oh, well, it's been a crazy year for retail. We're a retail store with 2 brick and mortar locations in San Antonio. Luckily, we had started an online store before COVID hit. So that's really what kept us afloat, along with PPP funds. And the challenge was how to keep our staff together, how to bring everybody back after the closure, and then how to our goal for the year was, how do we make this not only a survival year, but a thriving year? And what can we do to change, like use it as a reset? What do we want to change? What do we want to leave behind? What do we want to do, start going forward? And I think that we're all excited for that time that we had, that unique time to just stop and restart. When you're open 7 days a week as a retail store, it's very hard to ever have a real time to sit back and be contemplative of the direction you're going.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, Molly would like to share with us that there's never too early for a badass woman. So she gave us permission to use that word this morning. When my mom tunes in, I always get a message after. So thank you, Molly. Martha's giving you some love too. Oh, Martha, you're not lying about the money, girl. I gave everybody a warning too. I tagged it and I said, do not get upset with me when you start spending money on there. I literally stuff I do not need at all. Ginger. Love what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about too? So you talked a little about 2020. What were like the biggest lessons? And I didn't even think about, from a retail perspective, I mean, just the challenges of dealing with your employees, but also too, you guys it's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of joy, you have a lot of things that are really funny too. So what were like some of the biggest lessons from 2020 that you got from that crazy year?
Yeah, we had to really, we shut down for about 10 days thinking, who's going to even want to buy gifts and funny things online? We're all just trying to survive. And not everyone, but we started getting comments from people saying, why can't I send a gift package across the country or to a coworker who's struggling? Why can't I shop online? And so my husband and I and our 2 boys went up and started shipping out orders because we couldn't have employees at the time. And we had a stay-home order. So it was just really interesting to see how we could get back to our roots. We started out really small with just us and 1 employee, and then we grew pretty quickly. And so it was interesting to get back in that role and see that we could still manage it on our own in a small way. And then luckily within that same month, we were able to start bringing all of our employees back. And then the main thing I feel like I learned from 2020 was just to let go of what you can't control and That's not something that comes easily to me. So it was a really good lesson. And I feel like my anxiety is lessened over the last year just from knowing that, we can do the best we can do. And at the end of the day, we just have to close it down and come back the next day.
Yeah. And what's some of the, and I agree with you completely. Some of the mission of wanting to start this project, Her Texas, a couple years ago, was this idea of people not knowing how you feel. And like, I've had several leadership roles, and sometimes it's challenging because you wonder, are there other people that are going through the same thing? And there are. But sometimes you can kind of get stuck in your spot or your community and not know. And one of the things I am really passionate about is us sharing our experiences, the good and the bad of like what's happening and what's not. Krista, I would love to hear from you as well. I know Krista and I go way back. I'm not going to even say it because I feel like it's hitting the decade mark at this point. I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on with that. The time is going great. But I know you're based in Dallas. And I know you're the executive director of Better Block, and you had a huge weekend. And of course, I asked Krista to come on the show after her massive weekend because that's what I do. I stalk you guys professionally, but I use my gut. And I was like, the women of Texas need to know about Better Block Foundation, but they need to know about the MLK Food Park. So tell us about this weekend, what happened, and what challenge is Better Block looking to solve?
Yeah, thank you so much. And good morning to everyone. So the Better Block is an urban design nonprofit, and we work with communities to kind of bring spaces to life. And basically we're putting plans into action, and we do it quickly over the course of just a couple months, and the actual transformation happens over the course of a few days. And in the case of the MLK Food Park, it was 2 weeks is how long we were on the ground. So basically in 2020, we all know that the restaurant industry was hit very hard. The state fair obviously didn't go on, so all the vendors who were planning to go there and plan out their year based on that was all lost. And so the Real Estate Council had asked us to do a project in their Dallas Catalyst project area, which is in the South Dallas area of Dallas. And we were kind of thinking of different concepts, looking at different things. The city of Dallas has some interesting ordinances regarding mobile food vending. Austin is quite better than Dallas, and we took some inspiration from that. And we started thinking about what it could look like if we did a food park. So not just food trucks, but we're also talking trailers, pop-up vendors, and we wanted to do shipping containers. The last part got shut down. We weren't able to do that, but we were able to do the rest of it. So basically, we took over this empty lot at MLK and Holmes and put up an entire food park. And we have spaces for vendors. And if any of y'all have been to Gabriel's Wharf in London, we kind of copied that and put up facades and interesting structures. We did a kite alley, which there may be something like that, or umbrella alley in San Antonio. I can't remember, but we don't really have that here. So we were able to create a kite alley. And then what we're doing is this park is open for 4 weeks. It's every Friday from 6 to 8, Saturdays and Sundays 11 to 2. And we have rotating vendors coming through. We've got about 30 to 35 vendors we're working with. Half of them are from the South Dallas area, and the rest are around the Dallas area. And we are just showcasing the food that people are doing and hopefully giving them a chance to recoup some of the lost revenue from the previous year. And we're also showing City Hall, when we talk about a food park, this is kind of what we're talking about. And when we talk about updating our mobile food vending ordinance, this is what we would like to see. Because right now we're doing it through a special event permit, but we'd love to see this be something that people could do more permanently. And we want to lower those barriers to entry so that folks can test out some of their concepts before they go to a brick and mortar or before they're spending $100,000 on what that might look like. So that's what we're working on. We've got a ton of artists that have incorporated their work into the space, and we have performers every weekend. And so it's just, this weekend was absolutely lovely. I will tell you all, I had a lot of people tell me that people would not come to this spot. They would not come for a food park, and they just wouldn't come to this area. And we had more than 1,500 people visit this weekend, and all of our food vendors sold out of one item, if not their whole menu. So we were really excited to see that turnout, and we're gathering the feedback. We're seeing what works, what doesn't work, and we will, give all that information over to the powers that be, and they can determine, should this be permanent, or can we incorporate some of this into a longer-term vision for the area.
I'm just so excited about that. And for those that are not from North Texas, the MLK or Martin Luther King Boulevard is in South Dallas, an area. So when Krista says that, I've done many events in the southern part of the city and been told that too, Krista too. It's like, we know what there's a lot of people that care about the community here, want to get plugged in. And namely, Molly would like to know what social pages she wanted to go to this. Can you give us some more details on if for those that want to check it out that are in Dallas or going to drive up and see it?
Yeah, so we're on all the social media, even TikTok at Better Block.
No, you didn't, Krista. No, you didn't.
I'll tell you what, my personal TikTok, don't go to my page. It's all about dogs, but our Better Block TikTok, we're still figuring that out.
I'll check it out.
So we're at Better Block, and then for the park specifically, you can go to betterblog.org/MLK Food Park. And it's open for the next 3 weeks. And even when the food isn't there, the park is still open. And that was really important for us too, because there are a lot of neighbors who hang out kind of on the lawns around the area. And we did surveys, and we were told people want a great place to sit. They want landscaping, they want green space. So the park is technically open, even when the food's not there, just so people can come enjoy a nice space and a little bit of shade and kind of hang out.
Yeah, and we had some great weather too this weekend too, which was, I think that was definitely a sign that it's like, yes, this is going to be awesome too. I'd love to talk to you both about mentorship, and some of us call it sponsorship, because I think in my career, mentorship has gotten me halfway and sponsorship is taking me there when someone's literally not just giving me a seat at the table, but telling me what to do when I get there. And so, sometimes when you're innovative and you're keeping the engine going, sometimes you have to wonder, like, who's keeping her? Who's keeping her inspired, right? Because we can sometimes get in a place where we're thinking so much about others, the community, our staff, our families. I'd love to hear from you, Ginger, about who is your mentor, who keeps you inspired. And I know I was referring to you about your spouse too, because I know you all work together. Hopefully he's not tuned in so you can spill the real tea.
I doubt he's tuned in. He's not on social very much, but yeah, we work together. I think to answer the mentorship part of it, I joined a little over 2 years ago, I joined a group called Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a peer-to-peer group of only entrepreneurs, and not even CEOs, like literally people who are running it and co-owners and operators. So it's a group that is global, but then you meet with your local chapter. And so I have a group of about 30 to 40 people in my local chapter, but you're really close with your 6 people in your forum, and they're kind of my unofficial board of directors. They're people that I run things by and get opinions on, how to structure certain things or how to handle problems that come up in the business. And it's just been invaluable for me. EO.org, I believe, or EOnetwork.org. And then working with my husband, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs in that area because we both have very different styles. Something that we've started recently, which has definitely helped, is no talking about work after 6. And last night I started doing it around 11. I started saying some idea that I just thought we should do. And he was like, I think it's after 6. So we have to talk about this tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because nothing good happens with the business discussion at 11 o'clock, so that's definitely helped.
Yeah, I would say it's also like a bag of chips at 11 o'clock. Nothing.
Yeah,
gonna happen.
Nothing.
You can do it, right? Nothing's good.
No one's feeling optimistic and energetic and wants to hear any new ideas at all.
At all. No, totally get that. Krista, what about you? And I know your sweet hubby too, which she does something completely different. And I'm almost wondering, sometimes that helps, to Ginger's point of having kind of a separation sometimes between the two things. Who keeps you inspired? Who keeps you? Because I know you've been doing innovative stuff for a long time and community-driven work for a long time. And so it's a passion of yours too, but who keeps you inspired and going and getting up every morning?
Yeah. So, a huge shout out to my husband because he is fantastic. But we actually volunteered for a Better Block before I worked here. And that was the experience that taught us we should never work together on any project ever again. And we have taken that to heart, and we do not do that, which I think is good for us. But we are both in nonprofits in Dallas, and kind of working in similar areas. And so we definitely feed off each other on that, get a lot of ideas. We try not to steal donors from each other, but when conversations happen, what can you do? So he's great. I will say, one of the first people who really poured into me and I admire greatly is Christine Allison from D Magazine Partners. Both she and her daughter Jilly are just amazing human beings who are thoughtful and go deep on things and really care about the world. And I took a lot of the lessons that they taught me. Most recently, I would say Friday afternoon, I was hanging kites on a stage, and one of our volunteers walked up. Her name's Melody. And I will tell you all, she had the best spirit and just the most thoughtful presence, and really reminded me to be in the moment. Because I know if you all have ever put on an event, you know that the 4 hours before doors open are just crazy. And especially working on a lot where you don't have power and water, and you don't have anything out there. There's a lot that goes into it, and the 4 hours before are just really intense. And just having that spirit and having that moment with her was just absolutely fantastic. So a lot of times, the mentorship, the love, and the why do I get up in the morning is just the people that we get to work alongside and kind of bring these transformations to life with.
Oh, I love that. And I think it's probably a lot of the reason what keeps us doing sometimes that the challenging work is the people that remind you that this means so much more. I sent Krista a note saying that my dad, our family's from South Dallas, and he was big in the community. And my sister and I stopped by there, and we were like, this would be really, really cool. Like, he would have really loved this. So thank you for the work you're doing. And Ginger, I think that joy is such a huge thing right now. We sometimes took it for granted. I think just a laugh, right? Just laughing and having happiness too. So I laughed at a coffee mug for a straight 2 minutes on your website. And I was like, I needed that. I needed that laugh. So we only have a few minutes. I want to end and both thank you so much. I told you this is like a bite size. It goes by so fast, but I'd love to let us know how we can connect. I know you told us a little bit about it, Krista, in the beginning, but Ginger, how can we connect with all that you're doing and with Felice Modern? And then tell us about a woman, and she can be a present or from history, alive, or maybe she's gone on, or it could be someone in your normal everyday life, a woman that has inspired the work that you do.
Sure. So our social media is at Felice Modern and on all channels. We are on TikTok, but someone much younger than me does that. And all of our store is online at felicemodern.com. And if they're in San Antonio, we're at the Pearl, and we're also in Olmos Park. And then inspiration. I mean, I work with so many amazing women. A lot of people at Pearl. Pearl's actually run mostly by women. So a lot of the people that I work with here are female, almost all of our team. And they inspire me so much. When we first started the business, we were a little nervous to have employees and be responsible for people's livelihood. And I often say that's been our number one benefit of running this business is the people that we've gotten to work with, and our leadership team, and the way they treat our customers. And a lot of them are artists themselves, and just amazing people to work with. And I enjoy coming to work with them. And then from history, I would say Ann Richards. I just always loved her spirit and how she just put herself out there and wasn't afraid to say how she felt and move the needle for Texas. So that was definitely someone that I look up to.
I always think about that cover with her with that silver blinged out jacket on and a motorcycle. Like, it's one of those infamous, I think it was Texas Monthly, I think. I just always have that vision of her with the white hair, the bright lip. She's so Texas.
Yeah.
So extra in some way,
so
right?
Unique. Yeah.
Love that too. Krista, what about you? I know we can go to betterblock.org. The park continues for another 3 more weeks. Any other news or information you want to share? And then what Texas woman has inspired you? I think you mentioned Christine and Jilly too, which I love both of them too.
Yeah. I think, they were really instrumental in the beginning of my career and continue to be. And just, anytime you get a moment to chat with someone who it makes you think bigger picture and just gives you that pause, it's just fantastic. I'll say too, our team, we're tiny right now. So there's only 3 of us, and our senior project manager who put this whole thing together, Kristen, she's amazing. And definitely working alongside her, learning from her has been absolutely fantastic. And it's always interesting because on our sites, we've got a lot of power tools. She can wield a power tool better than anyone. And it takes certain people a moment to figure that out, and they want to ask her who put this thing together and how did you see how they did it, and she's like, well, I did it, so I love what she could do and pull off. So and just check out betterblock.org. We're all over social media. If you ever want to send me a note, it's just Krista@betterblock.org. We're happy to chat and kind of see what we can all do together.
A big shout out to Kristen Lieber. She's another one of the women that have been innovating and doing things in the Dallas community too. So shout out to her. And thank you both for joining us. We are out of time. I really appreciate all that you do for community and for just inspiring many people that probably you don't even know about. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of Built in Texas. We'll be back next week. We actually will be talking about South by Southwest. We have the Chief Brand Officer joining us next week to talk all about South by Southwest, how they've had to pivot, and how this year went. So excited about that. So join us back here on Facebook or LinkedIn. And as I shared with you, May 3rd is our big launch. Next week, we will start our official countdown with all kind of really fun stuff. So I can't wait to share more with you all. So have a great week and see you next week.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.